to the British Comic Heroes podcast with James, Boards, and your host for this evening, Alan Raymond Walsh.
Hello.
Hey.
Right, gentlemen, we've had a look at some comics from the 1960s, 1970s, and 1980s. I think it's might be an idea to start with the 1960s and Fantastic, issue 1. Anyone like to start off with that?
Well, I was really intrigued to see that because my first ever experience of Marvel was the Fantastic Annual from 1970, and I remember reading that, and it was a marvelous introduction because it was like very early X-Men. It had the origin of Doctor Doom in it, and I've never seen the premiere issue of Fantastic. I've got a couple of issues that I picked up along the way, mostly ones with things like Goliath on the cover. But fascinating to see it because, of course, it's black and white reprints of really, really iconic Marvel stories. Like, you know, you've got your first Journey into Mystery Thor. You've got the what was the other? You've got the Iron Man. What the other one was off my head? What was the?
For Iron Man, X-Men.
X-Men, yeah, and it's the premier X-Men with Magneto, of course, isn't it?
And you have the character that's not the Hulk called Missing Link.
Yes, but doesn't half look like the Hulk and has similar dialogue.
I'm sure if you painted him green and coloured his trousers purple, he wouldn't look like the Hulk.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I thought it was really, really odd that that's included because it's so obviously the Hulk. I mean, it makes you wonder why they're doing it.
I do wonder whether they didn't have copyright to the Hulk, but had an idea for a superhero. Let's face it; it's the only, other than the covers, it's the only commissioned work in the actual comic. They did run the Hulk. Paracomics did run the Hulk strip.
Yeah.
And they did change the Missing Link into Johnny Future.
Really?
Which makes me think it was a bit of a copyright dodging.
Yep. It was very, very strange that because I mean that would have come. Am I right in thinking that the Fantastic would have been after the Alan Class comics?
Well, I'm just wondering, Alan Class, and correct me if I'm wrong, didn't he run material that he had that was out of his copyright period?
Yes, yeah, I think there were some areas there. Because he got plates and things. I think there was a crossover period when the licenses were transferring, and he, I believe, and again this was from discussing people on various forums, because I fortunately picked up quite a few of the Alan Class ones. I was intrigued because I particularly, it's one of my favourite stories of all time. Even an Android Can Cry, and the apparent murder of Giant Man by Yellow Jacket. So they're the first British reprints, I believe. So I got intrigued and asking on some of the forums on Facebook. Some people were saying that there was a point where Alan Class had the plates, but that they technically lost the license to do it. It transferred across, but he still continued to use them. I may be wrong there, but I think that's what I was told.
There does seem to be a crossover period. I'm not quite sure with Alan Class stuff. Did you know they were printed in Hove?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I actually looked on Street View. Yeah, Street View has its uses.
Actually.
And all I can find there is a block of flats,
Wow.
but I think there is a footprint that suggests there was a printers there.
Do you think if I go and dig under it, I might find some information?
You might find some ill-gotten gains there, I suspect.
I'd go with that.
Okay, so what I found interesting about Fantastic is I'm looking at, and if you're watching this on Facebook, which I'm assuming you are, you will see an image of this. I'm actually interested by Jack Kirby's image of Thor because it's his ridged helmet.
Yes.
Now, to me, when I think of Thor, I think of just a spike
Yeah.
on top of his helmet, but it's quite clearly a ridge.
Yeah.
A Go Faster ridge, I think.
Yeah.
So when he's flying through the air, I don't think it survives the first issue. I might be wrong by that. I'm also interested in the fact that his top isn't like a tank top. You can quite clearly see the side of his body down to his belt line. The other thing that I found interesting is that as Bods mentioned a bit earlier today, he was looking for the credits for this particular issue, but I haven't actually clocked they're not there. I actually really like the black and white reproduction here. There's no zipper tone on it. Kirby's artwork.
I'm glad you brought that up because this is all black and white, and for Marvel Comics being the most colourful
do you know what? I know I should
publication outlet, it's really weird reading it in black and white because it is just so colourful, all the characters in the world. Unlike DC, where more muted tones.
I understand what you're saying, but just look at the detail on this. It's so crisply printed, and on American comics, you've got that sort of off-white paper, you've got a very light black inks on it, and then you've got very. I like the pastel colourings, and I think that's where the Hachette. I'm not digging here, Hachette. I'm digging. Hachette have used the colour schemes, but on the good...
actually.
Oh, is it Hachette? It was
Hachette.
Oh, I thought it was doing a Hachette job.
Exactly.
Is it Hachette?
It's Mrs. Bucket.
Hachette. It'd be like a French pronunciation.
We thought you were doing Mrs. Bucket. It's
no, but I would agree.
Yeah, okay,
but I would agree. I think that was the thing for me when I look back. Mainly the Marvel reprints that I'm best familiar with, because were the ones I started off with, things like the superheroes and the 70s sort of stuff, about 71 onwards. Fascinating. Two things were the larger page size, so you could appreciate the inking and the detailing far better. And certainly now as an adult look back at it, and particularly like that, it didn't have the dynamism of the colour, but the colour reproduction process of that era was quite poor. You look at it as I was saying, the quality of the paper is poor, the quality of the print. There's often colour registration errors, so it doesn't match up the colour plates quite correctly. And many of the time I've looked at the black and white Marvel ones and UK ones and really appreciate it. There's an image of one of my favourite characters is the Vision. There's a wonderful one I've got in a comic, and you open it up and it's a double page spread and it's the most detailed picture of the Vision lying on a slab, and it's just stunning. I mean, it's just the detailing that you get on it, and you get to appreciate it, and you get to appreciate. And certain strips, I found, for example, the Surfer I thought was incredibly well in black and white.
Yeah, that worked really well.
Yeah, well, we will be going on to the Surfer in a minute. I want to point out page 7 of Fantastic. I'm just going to show it now to Bod and James. What do we make of that?
Again,
what strikes us?
Firstly, he's rather a strong chap lifting it, but there's a freshness and a dynamism about it that I really like. There's like a childish joy in his face. Perhaps also the hands are a little bit weird. But nothing amazingly leaps out.
Okay, I think Bod knows the answer to this one. Do you want to reveal to James what's wrong with this page?
Are we talking here of the
we
big rock,
the
slightly suspicious framing the page?
We are talking about the suspicious framing the panel and the detailing on the rock, because
so we missed.
They've actually typexed out or whited out chapter 2.
Ah, I see.
So you've got this.
Why would there be the word chapter 2 on a rock? It's quite clever the way they're doing it. They're basically, as you say, they're whiting it out, but then they are replacing it not with some detailing.
But it's clearly not as good as the fact that you could look at that and you've accepted that's the panel.
That's just the rock.
But equally, we are gentlemen of a certain age looking at it in the 21st century.
You may be, but I'm 10 years younger than.
Yeah, nice try.
I am
not even if you travel to Arcturus. But the thing is, remember, you've got to think, if you were a kid and you hadn't seen things like Marvel comics before like this, and you open it, it's your first issue, you wouldn't be spotting, and you'd have no basis of reference.
Yeah, you wouldn't know any different.
No,
you wouldn't. And as James said, the artwork is so crisp and clean in the black and white. It really is a joy to see.
I would agree that if you look at the blacks on the detailing on Thor there, that's much better. In detail and contrast, so yeah, I do appreciate that. But I'm still looking at it, and what the composition still works, and I look at it and think that's a really good Thor image. I've seen far worse.
But then, to be fair, the actual composition is as you see it. All they've done is take off the chapter. Chapter 2.
Yeah. Of course, on the helmet,
but
back to the spike.
They could have left it in.
Yes. Yeah,
so I now want to go on. I'm not quite sure what page this is on. I'm looking at page 12. So, what do we make of this page layout? Again, if you're watching this on Facebook, there is a video. If you're watching it, you'll see the page. What strikes you about this?
Well, first off, I have to say, I've never thought that the stone men from Saturn were particularly impressive. They just look rubbish.
They actually look like the Thing to me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, that's an idea.
Thing knockoffs. It's like the Thing is mated with the statue on Easter Island.
So what came first? Did this come first, or did the Fantastic Four come first?
Fantastic Four, because that was a premier thing for Marvel, wasn't it, for their relaunch?
Yeah.
But but I think the composition and the detailing on Thor is superb. That really is an iconic. I mean, I've seen many
James is
worse
looking
ones.
at panel 3
in the bottom left. But then a classic Thor with a cage dropped on him kind of thing. It does make you wonder how it hasn't broken. how his arms got stuck in that way, because it's gone straight down, but his arm is now sticking out the side of it.
I mean, to me, looking at it, obviously we've got the blank space at the top of the first two panels, and the spaceship. It looks like someone's looked at the picture below the spaceship landed and tried to imitate it about as well as maybe I could.
It just looks like a spaceship with fly legs, doesn't it?
And they've done exactly Stickman version.
Yeah, they've done the same on the next one, where they put a couple of bits of loose rock on the top of panel 2. Now, panel 3, I think they've extended the lower part of the panel. I'm not entirely. Yes, if you look at Thor's, the banding on Thor's right leg, if you look at the left leg, that's clearly been added, and I think we could probably safely say that this bottom part of the cage, if you look at the emphasis lines around the cage, the ones at the bottom don't actually work with the rest of it. So again, what's missing here is
you'd expect impact lines, wouldn't you?
Yeah. So I think what they could have done with this material is maybe run it over 3 weeks and keep chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, or just leave it. The other alteration, which you can understand, is the last panel. It says, "Editor's note: Thor, the mighty, the greatest superhero of all time, will appear regularly in Fantastic. Reserves next week's issue at your newsagent now. It's sure to be a sellout." Obviously, this is changed from Journey into Mystery. Yeah. And instead of newsagents, it would be. I know I've said it. Stands, yes. We did actually cover this on BCH some months back, but if you try to find anything on BCH as an archive,
good luck.
Good luck, yeah. Never mind. All right, so moving on.
Heimdall gets confused.
Did you want to talk about the promotional your free scarf for next week? I thought that was quite interesting. I'm not sure why that was there.
I thought you said scarf. I thought you'd be up for that.
Secret Brotherhood of Power scarf.
Scarf.
It's like getting a Harry Potter ahead of the game, basically.
It's a very. I don't know if I was like.
I thought that was very odd that being there.
If I was 8, I don't know if I'd find that slightly creepy or.
I think if it was a parent, you go, "What? My kids now self-harm because they're reading comics." That's
I'm not sure if that's meant to reference something, and I'm meant to know what it is, or.
It's not one of the strips that I recognise from this at all.
That almost looks like riveting on Iron Man. This top
or Frankenstein-esque stitching, maybe.
I don't quite. Also, next week you can join the Secret Brotherhood of Power and prove you're a member. You will receive this plastic scar to put on the inside of your wrist.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's even darker than I initially thought.
That's working so nicely. It's slightly darker than the issue 1 free gift, which is basically something you can stick your pens in and stick it on a window. I wonder what that's worth these days.
Probably the magazine's probably worth more because a lot of people cut out the back page for the pendants. Moving swiftly on.
Sure.
The X-Men. This is the first appearance, I think, of the X-Men in the UK outside of Alan Class.
Yes.
What we can say about this is, again, they've actually typixed out the credits, which would have been where Xavier's or Xavier's legs are by the window.
I love his old man look with the blanket around his legs.
He's not in a wheelchair, he's actually in a comfy sofa, so there's no indication there that he's not able-bodied.
No, that's true.
Okay, moving swiftly on. I've mentioned this to Bod earlier, and basically this will be relevant to when we look at the superheroes. It's page 17 here, and it's the second panel. So on the right hand side you've got Iceman and the Beast. Iceman says, "Hey Beast, come here. I want to show you a new stunt I learned with my frosting power." So Iceman's holding the Beast's right arm, and he says, "Let go my arm, you blasted walking icicle." I can't read it.
You want to freeze me to death?
Next panel. Brewer, I don't mind ice cubes, but I like them in my Coke, not tickling my arm. Ha! With all your superpowers, you guys are just a bunch of softies. Can't even stand a refreshing dose of freezing ice cubes. This dialogue appears in The Mighty World of Marvel 49
and
49. 50. So 49 has the dialogue intact, when it eventually appears in superheroes, which we will be coming to shortly,
Yep.
They've actually changed the dialogue. They've actually changed the dialogue between the two.
Right.
Right. So the only other thing I'm going to mention with the X-Men, and we'll move on, is the introduction of Jean Grey. Now, if you follow BCH on a regular basis, and we don't give you much option really.
Miss that lovely green skirt that she's always sporting back in the day.
Yes.
I'm glad it's in black and white. All I can say, fashion. There's actually an edit here, and I did wonder why it was edited out, but it is actually quite clear when you look at it. Basically, Dr. Hank McCoy tries to give Jean Grey a kiss, but she uses her powers on him.
Yes.
And it fails. They've actually edited that out of the comic. They've actually got a panel which doesn't belong there, plus join us next week. So they've taken two panels out in order to put this spare couple of panels in.
Yeah. And of course, with that panel being Hank McCoy being affectionate for Jean Grey, that's something that Marvel are currently looking at with the time-displaced original X-Men in the modern comics. Hank McCoy does indeed have feelings for Jean Grey.
I think everything with a pulse had feelings for Jean Grey, to be perfectly honest.
Obviously, Iceman has come out as the camp character. He apparently has always been.
But of course, at this stage,
I concur.
But of course, at this stage, which again is very odd if you consider the Marvel Cinematic Universe, she wasn't Jean Grey in her identity. She's Marvel Girl, and that's something that's been omitted. And it's the fact that by the cinematic version, she's Jean Grey and she's a public figure. Although it's very odd for me watching things like First Class, where you have this revisionism that the first X-Men team isn't the original lineup. You have Havoc being an X-Man before Scott Summers, his brother.
Yeah,
which to me is like
the whole Fox X-Men universe is a nightmare for anyone who knows their material.
I disagree with that. I think the odd thing is that there are lots of canonical errors, but the storytelling in it has been consistently good, with the exception of the Wolverine origin, which just sucked. But
the films have been enjoyable.
I found they were doing some new and interesting things.
So to me, you got things like Ant-Man, which I thought was a really fun movie.
Yep.
But you know what?
Yeah.
They lost the Yellow Jacket storyline.
I agree. That for me, I would agree.
Lost that now.
I was saying about something just the other day because one, it infuriated me because, as I was saying, the Alan Clark comic I've got shows that iconic fake cover where you have Yellow Jacket gloating over Giant Man. Of course, this never occurs except in his imagination because they are one and the same man.
But then you're relying on his narrative in the story to say, "Oh, this is what I did to him."
Exactly.
You know?
But it's also a major ongoing thing of Hank Pym is that he is mentally unstable. That's one of the things that is why when he creates Ultron ends up being unstable because he's created by a man with an unstable mind. I think it's hilarious how, in particular in Marvel, a character, particularly a villain, will often have a surname or a name that's related to their powers, like Dr. Otto Octavius. What powers might he end up with? An octopus. What a surprise!
Like, what are the chances?
Exactly. I'm thinking, I'm going to have a child and call it Ultimate Super Being Galactus Beta, and hope for the best with a strike of lightning.
There's no argument with that. As I said, Iron Man wasn't MCU. We'll probably come back to. I think we could probably do a podcast just on the MCU.
But I'd agree with you. It's a remarkably good adaptation of the core elements of this story, which we see fantastic.
Fantastic here. This is the splash page of. It's on page 20. Might be 26. I don't know. Again, they've fixed out the credits.
It's fascinating again looking at the fact that we're seeing there the Iron Man Mark 1 armor, which again gets referenced in the cinema version because it's the big lumbering grey one, and again all those things were nicely layered in for the old guard, and still made sense in the story, which is good.
I think it's good. I'm also interested by the fact he's got the
remote control antenna.
Yeah, he has, and it's not very subtle.
No,
is it?
Not at all.
It's not good for low. And you could have problems with that in a low doorway.
How long does that last? How many? For example, Thor's ridged helmet. How long does that last? How long does his aerial last?
Yeah, but then you get this.
I don't know the answer.
They're partly prototype images, aren't they? And developing.
I think this is Don Heck.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea who inked it, but you know what? I'm really liking the style here.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of Don Heck, but
we go back a page.
Oh, yeah.
Does reference your problem in Vietnam.
Vietnam it is.
So,
the other interesting thing I think that Clark looks very that Stark looks very Clark Gable-like. That sort of kind of the playboy kind of thing.
I always thought he was. I'll take that. I always thought he was more of an Earl Flynn.
I could see that.
He's obviously Howard Hawks, isn't it?
Yeah.
But Tony Stark.
Yeah, if you compare Tony Stark
Howard
there
Stark,
to anything in the last 20 years, he looks strikingly different.
We get to the point where Iron Man's assistant, fellow prisoner, is shot off camera. And then we've got Tony Stark in the iron suit, flat on his back. And that's the introduction for Fantastic, because they then say join us next week. So here we go.
One little thing just to point out there is that the tagline, which again is probably altered, a man just destined to become a living legend, the Iron Man, not Iron Man. Because nowadays you'd almost certainly refer to it as Iron Man, not the Iron Man.
Although the story is called Iron Man is Born.
I suspect that's an error by somebody doing the caption. He hasn't quite got it yet.
It does look like yes, you're right.
He does say that the Iron Man swears it, so maybe Tony Stark is still identifying as the Iron Man at this stage.
There's a nice house out here. I think this is Barry Windsor Smith. It's just very odd. You've got the X-Men with Iron Man. And you've got Cyclops using his power beam on Iceman, who looks like he's melting.
Well, at point blank zero, that he blow his head off. Notice, of course, that Iceman is still at this stage Mr. Lumpy Snowman, as opposed to the more formed ice form that we get later. Thor does look panicked.
He does look like he's made out of cotton wool on the cover. That's
rubbish.
One of the odd ones.
But but even the Thing was still a bit lumpy. But look there, you see the Hulk is in Smash. But we still, but then was at the same time we've got the missing link.
That's odd, isn't it? Yeah, you've got Thing in Wham, and the other one is Spider-Man in Pow. Now with Pow, I think Wham. Not quite sure about Smash. These were actually edited panels to make them look like British originated strips. I have no idea why they did that, but they were like 3-page strips or 5-page strips, and all the original panels were cut up and repasted. But Fantastic, they're all intact other than the
plus of course in the bottom left hand corner, if you're a big comics fan, obviously you're going to be well into your stamp collecting as well. An advert for stamps and more stamps. Penny Blacks.
I'm sure BCH has a lot of stamp collecting.
Absolutely. I used to really quite like them. Some things I missed from the reprints is some of the adverts.
Yes, I agree.
Because some of them were hilarious. I mean, Sea Monkeys alone had me entertained for decades.
I was looking at a Submariner comic from the 1950s, and it had an advert for a pen, an ink pen, where you use the other end to light your cigarettes.
Wow, there you go.
How does that work?
The missing link.
The missing link.
Not the Hulk in any shape or form.
First panel, if it moves, the link kills. If it moves, the Hulk smashes, I think. It looks like a muscle man, torn trousers. He does have a belt, which is good.
Conspicuously lacking in nipples, though, like most sort of bare-chested gentlemen.
He's got a little nipple there.
There might be, but they were often omitted in comic book art.
I think it might be a smudge, actually.
Yeah, I think that's
true. Comic book art, you see very few nipples.
Yeah, it really was part of the thing that was suppressed in the code.
It's actually very nicely done. I actually quite enjoyed it.
Good line work. He just looks like a slightly dimmer version of the Hulk, doesn't he? Just look like slightly.
Yeah, more Neanderthalic.
Look at that one. I'm looking at page. Is that 38? Panel 4. That's definitely a Hulk type.
They must have got the Hulk to pose for it, I think.
That's very polite.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they took inspiration from.
I'm liking it. Oh, here we go. We're now on the back page.
The penance. There's the penance.
Yeah, your penance. So that's it. That's fantastic done. So,
but I liked Fantastic as a comic. I thought it was some really
so what do you think? If it was on sale when you were of the target age, would you want to buy it?
Oh, definitely.
I concur. Mr. Boss, what do you think?
Yeah. If I was a child back when that was being produced, I'd have been interested in that, because you've got the origins of the Marvel kind of universe being reprinted for you there, and it's fantastic reading. Really
I think it's
and the
interesting.
artwork's really nice in the black and white.
Yeah.
But the thing was in Fantastic, you were seeing something that was consistent, and you'd have stories that develop continuity. And I think Marvel benefited hugely from their consistency and their continuity in a way that DC really didn't, because DC had so many different alternate universes and different versions of Superman's story and things like that. It became very confusing, and I think Marvel benefited from that, and I think Fantastic and its sister titles basically benefited from that. No, they're really good. And I remember a friend of ours, Abe, on the comics group, he put up loads and loads of the Fantastic covers, and I was fascinated to see so many of them, which I've never seen before, because I've only got a couple of Fantastics myself. But very interesting little piece of history, I must admit.
Just as an aside from that, having gone through the early runs of Fantastic, one thing that really struck me was, for some reason, they skip stories. Now, you would think that's not necessarily a problem, just do the stories you skipped afterwards. But Iron Man changes his armour. So what they've done, Fantastic, have actually drawn the next Iron Man costume, and I think it's the one with the top mask that Tony Stark has over the original Iron Man costume. And what they've done also is take later images of Iron Man where he's not wearing that armour to fill in gaps. I think I'll just paste that image on there and whatever.
No one noticed.
Yes, well, I've noticed X amount of years later, so
finally rumbled them.
Finally rumbled that show in a minute.
You sound incredibly like one of the characters in the 2000 AD thing, that Savage character. I think you make a good Savage.